We've covered numerous cases on this channel of UFO crashes and cover-ups. Many scoff at the idea that beings with such advanced technology and that have traveled great distances could break down or crash so easily. However, we see quite a number of cases of not only UFOs crashing, but also experiencing mechanical failure and sometimes even accidentally showing themselves. In today's episode, we will cover a case from Canada that happened in 1970, an incident known as the Cowichan Hospital UFO sighting. On New Year's Day in 1970, in Cowichan District Hospital on Vancouver Island, Canada, a nurse would have an experience that would change her life forever. Around 5 a.m. in the morning, a practical nurse named Doreen Kendall was checking on her patients when she would notice an older gentleman was having difficulty sleeping. After checking over him, Doreen realized he was hot and decided to open the drapes to let some air in. As she began opening them, immediately a bright white light hit her in the face. Doreen spotted a bright object about 50 feet across, hovering over the children's ward. It was silver and shaped like a bowl on the bottom. The top had a transparent dome and, interestingly, was completely lit up inside. Being only around 60 feet away, Doreen could see right inside the craft. There were two humanoids, or beings, that looked like men. The beings were wearing a one-piece tight-fitted outfit and were standing one behind the other, turned to the side, and standing in front of what looked like a control device. The one in the front appeared taller, or was positioned higher than the other, though they both appeared to be in the range of 6 feet in height. Their heads were encased in close-fitting, dark material. Doreen would later state they looked like fine, tall, well-built men. They were dressed in tight-fitting suits of the same material that covered their heads, but their hands were bare, and I noticed how human they looked. Their flesh seemed just like ours. Based on Doreen's observation, they seemed to be trying to fix something, and it was as if their controls had broke. Doreen would later state the man in front was staring at the panel as if something very important was going on, and I wondered if they might have had mechanical trouble. I even thought they might have landed on the roof of the hospital and then had trouble taking off. Soon the craft would begin to tilt, and it got to the point where Doreen could see just below the knees of the aliens. She noticed they were standing as well in front of what looked like stools. Inside the craft, Doreen would spot some panels. The panels in the dome were very large, taking up almost half the interior of it and reaching nearly to the top. The instruments, if that is what they were, seemed to be inset in the chrome-like material of the panels, and there was a variety of sizes. While she was watching them, Doreen felt a sense of calm and peace over her. It was surreal for her, and she forgot about what was going on in the room at the time. She stated she never felt so peaceful, and that she wished she could have communicated with them. As she kept watching them, she began to think to herself that she shouldn't move or turn around, as it may alert the beings. Right as she did this, though, one of the beings, the being in the rear, turned and faced her. It was as if the being was able to read her thoughts. Doreen would later state, "He seemed to look right at me, but I couldn't see his face. It was covered by a darkish material that looked softer than the rest of his suit. I'm sure he saw me, because then he touched the other man on the back. When he did this, the man in the front reached down and took hold of something like a lever beside him. I'll never forget how deliberately he did it. He pushed it back and forth, and the saucer, or whatever you called it, started to circle slowly, still close to the building, in an anti-clockwise direction. After the UFO started spinning, Doreen would fall out of her trance-like state and turn around to speak to the other nurse in the room, Miss Frida Wilson. Miss Wilson would later state, "I noticed Miss Kendall standing at the window and wondered what she was looking at. In fact, I was just going to see when she beckoned to me, and then I saw this great big light over the patio outside the children's ward. I'd say it was quite a bit larger than a car. It looked circular in shape, and the far side seemed to be higher than the side near to us. It was moving around slowly, and then it started to move away. I didn't really see any top or bottom to it. It was all just tremendously bright. The two women then ran to the nurses' station and told 3 other nurses about the sighting. The 5 nurses then all ran back to the window. At this time, though, the craft was a good distance away from them and just appeared as a bright light. Interestingly, the object did circle the hospital several times before vanishing to the northeast at incredible speeds. What can we make of this UFO sighting? It seems like a pretty credible sighting in general. There were multiple witnesses, and the craft is one that has been reported on several occasions. It appears that Doreen might have spotted Nordic aliens or possibly robotic beings. As stated, the entities seem to be having some sort of mechanical trouble based on what Doreen saw. While it didn't stop them from taking off, and maybe they did fix it, another theory around the mechanical failure is that it might have been around the craft not being able to cloak itself and appear invisible. Many speculate UFOs are able to travel through our skies undetected by appearing invisible. They only reveal their ship when out in desolate areas or when mechanical failures occur. There's many good reasons to think these beings could be traveling around heavily populated areas completely undetected. One other interesting facet of this case is that Doreen reported feelings of happiness and peace when seeing the craft. There are other cases where individuals who come into contact with UFOs and extraterrestrials report feelings of extreme happiness and love. These individuals, or experiencers, report positive experiences, and many even hope to have additional contact again. Of course, on the other end of the spectrum are those that are taken against their will and report extremely terrifying experiences. Still, this raises another issue we see quite often around control. Based on a number of cases, these entities seem to be able to clearly control the emotions and thoughts of people in close encounters. Many times it appears they are able to block certain memories and create overwhelming feelings of happiness and joy. Some speculate the beings might actually be able to manipulate neurotransmitters in the human brain like dopamine and serotonin, which are associated with happiness and pleasure. One other theory is that there are numerous alien races visiting our planet. It seems, based on all the reports received, this could be possible too. The idea raises all sorts of interesting questions. What is the dominant alien race? Are any species protecting us? Is there some sort of alien hierarchy? Or does each species pretty much get to do what it wants? These are complex and tough questions that we might not ever get the answer to. Let's hope, though, that one day we will find answers.